Hello, today I'm going to show you how to do a Smokey Cat Eye. This is one of my favorite techniques because it really elongates the eye. The first step I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of concealer and put that on my eye. You want to make sure this concealer is full coverage so it covers all the veins on your eye and makes a blank canvas for the eyeshadow. I'm just using a small concealer brush to blend this out, but you could use your fingers or anything as long as it's even. Once you have that all done, you're going to take a medium brown shade as your transition shade and just picking up lightly in the pan, you want to make sure that you tap off any excess product or you will have too much and it will be difficult to blend. So now I'm just placing it on my eye, going in circular motions. You want to make sure that you tilt your head back and not have it forwards because then you can't really see what you're doing and it will help create a smoother blend. You want to make sure that you don't take it too far in because you want to make sure this part of the eye stays light and you want more depth toward the outside of your eye. So it's best to keep the concentration towards the third of your eye, I guess you could say. And now I'm just slowly bringing that up just to blend any harsh lines very lightly. You want to make sure that you're not applying too much pressure on the brush or it's going to create harsh lines as well. You could also take your finger and just lightly smudge any spots you see, being very gentle. Once you have that base color on, I'm going to take the same shade and I'm just going to drag it out a little bit more. This will help elongate the eye as well with the brighter inner corner. Once you have that blended out a little bit farther, you want to take a darker brown and a smaller blending brush, tapping off any excess and just placing it to the very outer corner of your eyelid. You don't want to go too far into the center because that's where we have that nice fade of that middle shade, so you want to stay out in the outer corner. Blending very lightly. I'm just going to pick up a little bit more product, tap off some more excess, and just pack it on a little bit more, slowly blending it out on the edges. You always want to make sure to be careful about how much product you're applying, because if it's too much, it's too hard to blend. Then I'm going to go back with that same fluffy brush and the previous shade, and I'm just going to tilt my head back and blend it a little bit more on my eyelid, making it more diffused. Once you have that general shape, you're then going to take a light white color, like the whitest color you can find, and you're just going to take a more flat brush and just start packing it on your eyelid. If you start with a little bit too much product, that's totally fine because you're just going to be blending it out anyways. And I'm just going to continue packing that on. And if you want, you could really take it up to the brow bone. And then I'm just going to take that same brush and clean it off on a cotton pad. And then with the same brush, I'm just going to lightly go over that middle transition shade with this brush. This will just help it make a little bit more smoother and blend that white shade further into the dark color. Next, we're going to use a black eyeshadow and a small eyeliner brush shaped like this. And you're just going to tilt your head back and start lining your eye with black eyeshadow. It is also important to tap off any excess because you want to be very gentle. And I also raise my eyebrow up so it's easier for me to really get in the lash line. You want to make sure you're going very lightly because we're not trying to create a super harsh line, just a smoky blended line. Now I'm just going to take a little bit more product and build it up more heavily on towards the outer corner. Compared to the inner corner, you want to leave it thinner. So I'm just making that a little bit darker. And now we're going to add a wing with the same black eyeshadow, and we're just going to pick up quite a bit of product, more than you used when you were lining your eyes, and following your natural lash line or your lower waterline here, you just want to follow that shape. If you're having trouble, like your hands are shaky, sometimes I just anchor my pinky onto my cheek, and that will help me from shaking so much, and then help me get a more precise line. And as you get towards the end, just make sure you go very light. Now I'm just going to go in with a little bit more black again, just building up more. Okay. And then next we're going to use some felt tip black eyeliner. This is like a liquid eyeliner, so this will be a lot more sharp. And leaning the head back, we're just going to go very closely to that lower lash line. But we're not going to go past that black eyeshadow where we made that smoky black eyeshadow. Just underneath it. It's best to take your time and just do small little strokes than just going in one go. 2. Okay, once you have that eyeliner on the majority of your eye, you're going to start following this trace that you've already did with the black eyeshadow, following your lower waterline as a guide as well. And just tilt your head back just a little bit, not too much, and just follow that line. It's best to stay in the inside of the line if you can. and not to make it too thick, because this is more of a everyday look. And I'm just making it a little bit thicker here. Because when I open my eye, it kind of hides. Okay. Next, I'm just going to go back in with that same black eyeshadow, and I'm going to set this eyeliner just to help it make it look less shiny, and just to blend out any of those sharper lines again. I'm using a little bit, you want to use a little bit more product than the first time around, since you're really packing on to this darker black eyeliner that we used. Just gently going over. And just going back and forth with the two products, just building it up until it's as dark as you want. And that is mostly it for this part. Next, we're just going to remove under the eye here with all that fallout, and using the end of this cotton pad and pressing down, you could just lightly sweep away some of that darkness just to add more of that sharpness back. But you want to make sure that you don't go too close to this eyeliner here, so it still looks kind of smoky. So now I'm going to do the rest of my face makeup, and then we're going to do underneath the eyes and the lashes and whatnot. Okay, now I'm done the face. I just put concealer underneath my eyes and highlighter, and now we're just going to take a small flat concealer brush, and we're going to apply a little bit more of that same concealer, just a very tiny amount, and we're going to start cleaning this outer corner a little bit more, making it more sharp. And then after that, I'm just going to use a little bit of setting powder and a setting brush. I'm just going to set the powder, use the powder to set the concealer under there. We're going to start taking some of that medium brown transition shade and blending it on that lower lash line. For this part, you may want to look up a little bit more so it's easier to blend. Just going very lightly with very little product back and forth from inner to outer. I'm just going to slowly pack that on. And then after using that, I'm just going to take a smaller brush with the dark brown, and we're going to make sure we tap off any excess as well, and just go right in that inner corner of the lower lash line. You want to make sure that you're using a smaller brush, not a big brush for the outer section, as it won't become very dark and it will just be diffused and turn into a muddy mess. Still just applying that dark brown shade, blending it out very lightly. And then next, I'm going to take that same black shade that we used to make the smoky eyeliner in the same tip and brush, and we're just going to connect that eyeliner to the lower lash line and into that darker brown eyeshadow that we just applied. And you want to make sure that you stay really close to the lash line and not go too far out. After you're done applying that, we're going to take the same white color that we used on the inner corner, and just with a smaller brush, we're going to pack it on in the very inner corner and on to the lower lash line. And if you end up having too much product flying around, you can just take a clean brush or anything that you use for setting powder. I'm just blending that out a little. Okay. And then next, we're just going to go back in the eyeliner, well, the black eyeshadow, tapping off excess, because we don't want to make sure we don't get any makeup under the eye where the concealer is. And we're just going to go right under the lower lash line. This will help connect this inner corner here, and this also helps elongate the eye. As you can see, that just instantly helped elongate the eye. And then I'm also going to take that black eyeshadow and just try to place it in the very inner corner, being very careful of your eye there. And then I'm going to take the same eyeliner pen that we used for the wing, and I'm just going to put a little bit more under there. And now we're going to do kind of like a pointed end in the inner corner here, kind of like how we did a wing there, but the other way. So first I'm just going to take this pen eyeliner, and I'm just going to start lightly going in. And if you're having a harder time with the pen eyeliner, like I usually do, I like to use a pot eyeliner and a small angled brush that's very thin. And then just taking some of the excess product off the sides of the brush so there's not too much, and just following that line. And you just want to make sure you go very lightly still. going back in with that eyeliner pen again. Okay, I would say that's pretty good. You just want to kind of make sure that it's at a V kind of shape. And then we're just going to take some of that black, the same black again, and just run it along this lash line here to blend it out. Like so. Now I'm just going to blend some more. So now before we do the eyelashes, I'm just going to go back in with that blending brush and just get any last little blending I could get in there just to make it look as smooth as possible. And this will be a good chance to just go back in and check any spots. And now we're just going to curl the eyelashes. And I'm going to apply some mascara by leaning my head backwards so that way you don't get any mascara on your eyeshadow. And just slowly going up. I kind of just like to wiggle my brush back and forth just to get more volume and length. I am using the CoverGirl mascara called Clump Crusher. I highly recommend it. It's only $7.99 or something like that. And I'm just going to focus a little on the inner corner now. Being very careful not to get any of that mascara on the white eyeshadow. And just slowly building them up. Now I'm going back into the tube again for just one last coat. And then now I'm just going to do the lower lash line. And when you're doing the lower lash line, you just want to make sure to be a little bit more careful as you don't want to get too many clumps. And then after that, I just like to take a spoolie and brush through any little clumps or anything. Now, just to finish off the eye, we're going to tightline the eye. And with this technique, we're going to be making the waterline here black. And you don't do this if you don't want to. Just gotta make sure to not be looking there. And then that just kind of helps everything look a little more black. And I'm also just going to run it along here. I find it's actually easier to apply the eyeliner and the waterline after you've done mascara. I don't know why, but it is. And that is the finished eye look.